Sworn in May 15th. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
If your company needs to spring into efficient hiring, then check out Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The Dell Technologies semi-annual sale starts now with savings on select PCs powered by the latest 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Plus, get deals on select accessories and free shipping on everything. Save now by calling 877-ASK-DELL.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers extend their winning streak to 4 with a 2-point victory at Utah in overtime. First win for the Lakers in Utah since 2019. The Lakers and Clippers jump it up tonight at Crypto.com. First game for Russell Westbrook against the Lakers since they traded him in February. University of Iowa women's basketball star Caitlin Clark defended Angel Reese, saying the LSU star should not be criticized for her actions in Sunday's championship game. Reese is catching static for taunting Clark near the end of the game with the "you can't see me" hand gesture. 47-year-old Tiger Woods is dropping hints that he's nearing the end of a legendary career. Woods, who has dealt with numerous injuries, is prepping for his 25th Masters this week at Augusta. He's won the Masters 5 times. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Access granted.
In a survey conducted by the public opinion research firm Eviderus, KBLA Talk 1580 consistently emerged as the station of choice for black audiences in the Los Angeles media market and beyond. The survey also revealed that the vast majority of black audiences are concerned about the lack of black-owned media and are more likely to listen to talk radio that focuses on issues that impact the black community. For some reason, the other talk stations haven't quite figured that out.
If you think about KFI, well, KFI only has like a 3% black listenership. 3%. So there's a good 97% out there to support a station like KBLA.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580, covering news and breaking news first.
Breaking news here. We've been covering this every day since the trial began. USA v. MRT. The verdicts are in. The jury has found LA City Councilman Mark Ridley Thomas guilty on a number of counts.
Keep it locked to KBLA Talk 1580 for news and analysis about the things that matter most to you. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule. 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not too serious. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis. First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show right here is called First Things First, my first thing every day, especially today because it's the one we have. Giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God Almighty, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. Let's go, let's go. Full Moon Wednesday. We do have a lot to talk about. Hour one, we typically look local. Left coast, we may waver from that a little bit today, and I'll tell you why. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. In hour three, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest, and we are going to be talking with Big Kika Keefe of the Gorilla Wellness RX. They've got a whole new thing opening that I will tell you about, and we will talk cannabis. After all, it's April. So, of course, you know by now, I hope you do. If you're new, welcome, and write this down. You're always invited to call any hour that I'm on the air, which is 6 to 9 daily. Pacific Daylight Time, it's 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. You could also hit me up on socials. I'm at KBLA 1580 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and yes, YouTube, where we are streaming right now. You can also find me personally, DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. I'm on all of those platforms. Have my own YouTube channel, and I wish you would come check it out. So, yay. Yeah, let's interact and engage. Only place it's different is Facebook, where it's First Things First with Dominique DiPrima. Frequent partner in politics is the reason we may stray a tiny bit from the local today, because he's an attorney. He's an abolitionist. You know him. He's frequent partner in politics around here, born and raised in the 2nd District of LA County. He's got a lot of family on the East Coast, but he's definitely a true LA native because his grandmama was born in LA. He is a graduate of Hampton University and Howard University School of Law. Welcome, Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn.
Hey, good morning, Dominique. Thanks for having me this morning.
Oh, thanks for coming on. I should have said Dad, because I'm sure that's top of mind for you in your portfolio these days with your schedule and your life.
Yes, and being out here in Bakersfield in trial got me missing my babies and the lady. And so shout out to them and her for all that she does and all that she deals with. Having 2 babies in 1 year is not easy. And now dealing with 2 children, both under 13 months, is quite the task.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's really a lot. I'm praying for you guys right now. Really.
Thank you.
Because 1 was a lot for me. I was like, how do people do this? I don't get it. So, yeah, you know we usually look local, but there's no way I'm going to have an attorney in hour 1 and not in hour 2 and don't touch on the indictment of the 45th president on yesterday. That was a lot. I mean, and it's, of course, it's a situation that I would love to have your legal eyes on. Trump in New York goes before the court facing 34 counts. They were all the same. And, all a lot of the pundits are like, oh, that's not a strong case, blah, 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 blah. But still, it's 34 counts, 34 felonies if they hold as felonies. Well, what was your big takeaway from the Trump perp walk / indictment?
Well, just that the district attorney's office there in New York is quite serious. They went through a lot to get here. We are over 6 years removed from when the actions took place, and they seem to be quite serious. A 6-year time frame can mean a number of things, but one thing I know it means in this case is a lot of due diligence. They went deep, they went long, they looked at all of the different aspects of this case, and they feel strongly about their case. But it is Teflon Don, so they have a lot of work to do ahead of them.
Right, and I, with my not legal eye, was looking at the charges, and it's all about business documentation, even though each one is pertaining to something slightly different. But what I read is that the reason they're felonies and not misdemeanors, that those would usually be misdemeanors, is because it's done in the commission of a separate crime, i.e., election fraud or tax fraud. So, and those charges are federal, right? Those crimes are federal, whereas the business fraud is for New York itself. So, do you think they will hold up? Because some folks are saying that his lawyers could have all of those charges downgraded to misdemeanors just based on the fact that one is federal and one is local.
Well, that's quite the possibility, and usually that decision would be made by a judge who's handling the preliminary. Well, actually, no, there wouldn't be a preliminary examination because this got an indictment through a grand jury. So that would actually have to be something at least here in California, that's something that would have to be done after the charges were proven. Then the judge would decide whether to reduce them to a misdemeanor or not. So either way, he's going to go to trial more than likely on the felony counts, unless something happens in the time in between.
Right. But they don't go back to court until December, which is that normal for it to be such a long runway? 6 years to bring the charges and then another 8 months before there's another court date?
Well, certainly, being that Donald Trump's attorneys, I'm sure, are quite busy. If Donald Trump is hiring them, they have a lot on their schedule that, this is a new case, so it's not like they planned for it. They didn't know exactly if it was going to come and when it was going to come.
Right.
So they may have trials, back to back for the rest of the year, and that's not uncommon, especially coming off of COVID, where a lot of things got delayed. And so I understand that with 34 counts, I'm sure there's tons of paperwork, boxes and boxes and thousands of documents that need to be sifted through. So, I guess it's now almost 8 or 9 month delay is not completely uncommon.
Mm. And in the meantime, my understanding is that there could be more charges coming in, as early as next week. We're looking at Georgia for the election tampering situation that Fani Willis is looking at. And then, of course, Letitia James, that's a civil case around the real estate misrepresentation. And maybe the Department of Justice, they seem to be picking up the pace a little bit with the documents situation. I'm not sure about the January 6th allegations. So when you say he could be in court or they could be having a busy court schedule for the rest of the year, is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're thinking of?
Well, that's, just with this one client. But I'm talking about their other clients, the attorney's other clients.
Oh.
Because courts will understand, especially at the beginning of a case, that these attorneys, everyone's entitled to the attorney of their choosing if they can afford it.
Right.
And so these attorneys having very hectic dockets and a lot of clients to attend to, that could take place. But also, that was likely one of the arguments of their attorneys is, let's see what else is happening because we want to deal with all of these at the same time. But mainly, Donald Trump, I'm sure, wants to get thick and heavy into the election season so he can either use these charges to bolster his support or just use them to kind of say, hey, I have all this other stuff going on. Let's wait until after the election to move forward with these charges.
I want to hear your take when we come forward about his, demeanor in court versus his speech on 10 at Mar-a-Lago, and also look at some local issues, including the case of these undercover LAPD officers who are now suing the city of Los Angeles. 12 kinds of crazy around here on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Like bones, your teeth lose density and become weaker over time, which can lead to tooth decay. And that can make your visit to the dentist feel like this. But if you want your dental visit to feel like this, try Crest Densify. Crest Densify actively rebuilds tooth density to extend the life of teeth by remineralizing enamel. Densify from Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America. Smile, Crest has you covered.
At the United States Postal Service, we're reinventing our network to help keep your business moving. With new shipping options to deliver better value, greater flexibility to conveniently reach your customers, more confident shipping with new informed delivery features, and new electric vehicles for a cleaner, brighter future. Fast, reliable, perfectly orchestrated. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America. Learn more at USPS.com/movingforward.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the Evan-On, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The Anti-Racism, Diversity, and Inclusion Initiative, LA County Supervisor Holly Mitchell, 2nd District, and the City of Compton are excited to announce the release of the inaugural State of Black Los Angeles County Report. Join us this Saturday, April 8th from 12:30 to 3 p.m. at Dollar Hyde Community Center in Compton. Los Angeles County is home to the 3rd largest black population in the U.S. Black Angelinos have been integral to the cultural, economic, and socio-political landscape of LA County. Yet, we continue to experience adverse life outcomes resulting from anti-black racism. This community launch event will include food, giveaways, and swag. See you there. To RSVP, please go to bit.ly/SBLA launch or text 626-399-1474.
Access granted.
In a survey conducted by the public opinion research firm Eviderus, KBLA Talk 1580 consistently emerged as the station of choice for black audiences in the Los Angeles media market and beyond. The survey also revealed that the vast majority of black audiences are concerned about the lack of black-owned media and are more likely to listen to talk radio that focuses on issues that impact the black community. For some reason, the other talk stations haven't quite figured that out.
If you think about KFI, well, KFI only has like a 3% black listenership. 3%. So there's a good 97% out there to support a station like KBLA.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Your black. Your black. Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
I'm joined by attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn, live from Bakersfield, where he's doing the people's work. What do you make of the Jekyll Hyde Trump that we saw yesterday in court? He looked almost humble. I think that's the humble setting for DJT. He looked, at least he looked serious. And it was funny because I remember reading that he was actually having meetings to decide whether he should smile at the people or look somber and presidential. And I felt like he was doing his best to look presidential and, serious. And then he gets to Mar-a-Lago and just starts guns blazing, just talking all kinds of crap about the judge and doing his usual list of grievances, but, with some extras on it. That's got to be all bad. And then Don Jr. posts pictures of the judge's daughter on Truth Social and Twitter. If you were a regular person and not a president, that would be problems right away, right? You'd probably be under gag order. You might be sanctioned by the court, right? You can't just do that, can you?
Potentially. And see, it comes down to how the information was gathered, right? If it's all public information and you can Google this judge's name and a family photo comes up, then it's not much to what Don Jr. did. And And so it comes down to how that information, if he has an extremely private life and you have to do a little more digging, I think that may make a different
okay, but
assessment.
I mean, I understand that standard, but we see what happens to people when Donald Trump and his family target them. It's not like me posting them on Twitter. I mean, I'm thinking about those election workers and people whose lives have been more or less ruined when the Trump family decides to target them. It doesn't matter if you're out there publicly, you're allowed to troll someone and endanger their life.
Well, if there's different standards, right? Just putting the information out there is one, but if it can be proven it was done for the purpose of endangering them and he knew this would endanger them and it did ultimately cause danger, there may be a different assessment. But ultimately, when you step into that public eye, as much as you might not want it or desire it, you are still in the public eye. Your family is in the public eye. And that's what comes with this kind of scrutiny. Like when the OJ case happened, most people would have never heard Judge Ito's name, but he became a well-recognized figure amongst society, and wherever he went, people knew. In this day and age, there would have been a much deeper dive into who Judge Ito was, and all kind of things going on. And so that's just the information age that we're in. This is one of those scenarios where it's like, wow, this information thing can go too far. And I'm sure that young lady is proud of her father being a judge, but at the same time did not want to be mixed up in any Donald Trump kind of mess.
Right. So it sounds like she actually has to be attacked a la Paul Pelosi before it becomes a liability for the Trumps, which is unfortunate, but I understand it. Here in L.A., more than 300 cops who are undercover or they're working in what they call sensitive assignments are going to sue the city for negligence because of the release of these photographs when, thousands of police photographs were released and they were put on this Watch the Watchers website. Stop LAPD Spying is the organization making the request, which shouldn't be a big deal because cops are supposed to be public figures, as the chief said yesterday, actually. But it was the department that inadvertently released the names, pictures of 300 cops that were supposed to be undercover. That's pretty wild, right? The 300 LAPD officers suing the department. And doesn't it, in a way, bring more attention to who they are? I mean, there's 9,000 people, 9,000 cops on the website. Now you guys, the 300, are suing. Doesn't that kind of call attention to them in a way?
I think it does. There's a lot of people, those people who are looking at that and in those organizations, they're going to see that anyway. And obviously, if you're a criminal involved with people you don't know, you're going to peruse that list to make sure. But at the same time, these are public figures. These are people whose tax dollars, who our tax dollars pay for. And so to not know who they are is like, I don't understand that. And so I feel like I've seen some of these officers out who I know their face, and then I've ran into them in situations where they're either undercover or off duty. And one time in particular, I remember one like seeing me and like giving me like, come on, man, don't give me up. So I just figured he was undercover. But I understand their concern. But at the end of the day, they are public figures. And so it's unique because officers can lie. They can tell you their names are different. They can take on this whole assumed identity. And when the public finds out about it, now it's a problem. I know they say it's for public safety, but the kind of work that's done in these undercover capacities, I think when you look at it in a whole, does not lead to public safety. and leads to a lot of problems in our community. So I understand their concerns, but I also look at it and in total and feel that the people deserve the right to know whose their employees are, since they are employees of the people.
Right. So Knock LA made the public information request, then Stop LAPD Spying put it on the website. I feel like the press is blaming these news organizations and then the news organization and the activist organization rather than not just the city of LA, but the LAPD. Interesting that they're suing the city and not the department itself, at least as far as I've been able to figure out so far, because really, that would have had to have been approved, right? I mean, the city can't just go and grab stuff from the LAPD. The chief said yesterday that the LAPD is not a secret organization. Not sure I agree with that, because one of the reasons that Stop LAPD Spying wanted to put these things up on the website is because a lot of these officers will cover their badges. They don't want to tell you, their name tags. They don't want to tell you their name. They are kind of at least a semi-secret organization, secretive.
Yeah, and, it was ultimately turned over by the LAPD constitutional policing director,
right,
who is certainly a LAPD officer. Well, I believe a LAPD officer, and at the minimum a city employee. So this is all information that comes from within the city, within the department. And so I think what this is showing and exposing to people who may not be aware is how different the LAPD views themselves from other city agencies and city employees. They separate themselves from that, and now they're upset when all of these people, if you had their names, you would be able to search different websites and see what their salary is and things like that. So that's quite common. All of their information has to be made public anyway, even when there's settlements that come for their actions. It may be kept confidential why they're paying it out, but the amounts, because it's coming from a public pot, has to be made public. So I really don't understand what they're saying, but I am interested to see how this plays out in the legal realm, because the precedent that will be set by this case as it matriculates through the court is going to be very impactful on the overall system.
Right, and whether or not we even have access to any of this information that should be public. I agree with you. I feel for these folks if they're truly undercover and they're endangered, because of this. But it's also interesting to see that it said there were 300. The LA Times reported that there were 321 officers undercover that were exposed, but 300 joined the suit. The other ones were concerned about retaliation from the LAPD. They didn't say retaliation from the city, even though they're suing the city and not necessarily directly suing the police department. They were worried about retaliation from the police department where they work. That's interesting. Just a couple seconds till news, traffic, and sports. Your response to that?
Well, it is unique, and in reality, you have to sue the city. Overall, you can't just sue the police department. So I understand that, but it seems like there's causing a little dissension within the ranks as well, as not everyone necessarily agrees. So this is all going to play out before all of our eyes, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it does.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to you helping me track it so we can understand the real impact of what's going on here. We've got a little bit of information about the election yesterday to fill Nuri Martinez's LA City Council seat, and LA County Board of Supervisors making moves for health workers in the county system. That and the BLM grassroots in-court situation, which is happening today as well. Man, it's a busy, busy full moon season. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Former President Trump says there's no case against him after being arraigned Tuesday on 34 felony criminal charges. Trump spoke last night at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida and said everyone who looked at the case said there is none. Trump said he never thought anything like this could happen in America and claimed the only crime he committed was to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it. In Michigan, the Grand Rapids community remembered African-American Patrick Leonia yesterday with a candlelight vigil on the one-year anniversary of his shooting death. Organizer Reginald James says they'll keep his name alive and fight for justice. Former Grand Rapids police officer Christopher Scher will face a trial starting October 24th for the shooting and killing of Leonia. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
If your company needs to spring into efficient hiring, then check out Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers extend their winning streak to 4 with a 2-point victory at Utah in overtime. First win for the Lakers in Utah since 2019. The Lakers and Clippers jump it up tonight at Crypto.com. First game for Russell Westbrook against the Lakers since they traded him in February. University of Iowa women's basketball star Caitlin Clark defended Angel Reese, saying the LSU star should not be criticized for her actions in Sunday's championship game. Reese is catching static for taunting Clark near the end of the game with the "you can't see me" hand gesture. 47-year-old Tiger Woods is dropping hints that he's nearing the end of a legendary career. Woods, who has dealt with numerous injuries, is prepping for his 25th Masters this week at Augusta. He's won the Masters 5 times. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tell me I'm the boy that girl. I'm young, gifted, and black.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hey there, I'm Jared Hill, president of the National Association of Black Journalists of Los Angeles, and I just want to say thank you for the benevolent $10,000 donation and scholarships for the next generation of black journalists.
And I'm Haywood Galbraith, photojournalist and founder of the Minority Photojournalism Institute. Thanks, KBLA, for your generous $10,000 scholarship gift to help us train the next generation of black photojournalists.
Congratulations to all the students who will benefit from the scholarship dollars raised at our Black History Month luncheon, honoring black legends in LA media. When we come forward at KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us.
The FAA will be hiring air traffic controllers soon. Applications open June 24th through June 27th. If you know someone between the ages of 18 and 30 who might be interested, please tell them to go to www.faa.gov/BE-ATC to apply today. The salary range is $103,000 to $164,000. There's also paid training and school. Again, that's www.faa.gov/BE-ATC. Again, that's www.faa.gov/BE-ATC to apply to be an air traffic controller. This community call to action is brought to you by the Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals and KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you looking to steer your career in a new direction? Driving for Culver City Bus can be your ticket to a long-lasting career with excellent benefits and paid training. Culver City Bus is looking for customer service and safety-minded bus operators to join the growing team. Culver City Bus offers on-the-job training starting at $19.10 per hour, uniform allowance, and health benefits. Culver City Bus is a great employer. Let Culver City Bus connect you with an essential service job. If you enjoy driving, seek real opportunities for career advancement, and passionate about making a difference in the community, you are invited to join the Culver City Bus team. Start your journey today by submitting an application at culvercity.org/jobs. For more info, visit culvercitybus.com or call live customer service operators at 310-253-6500. Again, 310-265-6500.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you awake? Just checking. Yeah, I'm awake. And so is attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn. He stays woke. Look, Jaaye, there's so many things going on, but I felt like I would like to highlight some good news, things that make us happy. I thought it was good news for the LA County Board of Supervisors to go ahead and give their hospital workers health benefits. It's 2,000 service workers who actually are janitors and other kinds of support staff inside county hospitals, and many of them for a long, long time have not had any health care benefits because they don't make enough to afford to pay for them. Understand it's an expensive proposition. That said, this is part of living wage and hopefully a trend that could be inspired by the SEIU 99 contract, right, where we've got to look at giving our essential workers. I mean, how can you be a hospital worker and don't have health care? That just doesn't even make sense. But this is the SEIU United Service Workers West, and they will get fully paid health care.
Yes, and I also think it's a good thing. When I look at it and realize how it happened, those were contract employees that are getting the health care benefits and who did not have them. So they weren't technically, from my understanding, LA County employees, but they were employees of the, they did work there at the LA County facilities. And so the contractors, oftentimes the people that get the contracts, the businesses that get the contracts may make, $50 an hour per person and then pay the person $100 an hour. Pay the person like $20 an hour and make those profits for staffing. And so that's why they couldn't, and they were paid hourly. So trying to pay out those medical benefits, which can be hundreds of dollars a month, seemed to be kind of difficult for a lot of those people. So I completely understand why the county did it, and I think it's a good thing and encourages more people to keep and maintain those jobs, which are essential to running a hospital.
And which we realize how important our hospitals are in the pandemic. The other thing about it is that what many of the workers said is that they will go to the emergency room because that's the only thing they can afford. And that's one of the things that drives healthcare costs up when the very low-resourced communities have to get their basic needs met inside emergency rooms and they don't have access to preventative care. It's expensive for taxpayers. It's expensive for the city, county, and it's not ideal for them either because that means that they're more likely to be acutely ill by the time they get help.
Exactly, and also those emergency rooms, especially in the lower income areas, and people get there and they wait forever. It's very difficult, and everything is more expensive because it's not a planned doctor's visit. It's like in an emergency status. So, anybody that has ever had to get like an emergency plumber, it's much more expensive just for them to come out than it would be if you were able to plan an actual appointment. So I think in the long run, the county supervisors probably looked at it and realized it may actually be cheaper to do it this way in the long run.
Right. In the short run, of course, there's concern about the budget impact, and it's such a balancing act. I get that. But I think it's a smart and courageous move on behalf of the County Board of Supervisors. Without a lot of fanfare, there was an election yesterday to replace Nuri Martinez, the disgraced LA City Council member who stepped down. They're still counting ballots, but it looks like definitely a runoff. I don't see anybody getting 50% here. With the latest count tally as of 6 o'clock in the morning. It was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. It was looking like pretty evenly split among the top four: Marissa Alcaraz, Rose Gregorian, Marco Santana, and Imelda Padilla, who was leading, but she only had like 25%. So it looks like we will definitely go to a runoff on June 27th, and so those voters, that district is going to be without a voting member for a while, District 6.
Yes, and the turnout, and hopefully it does better with the ballots that they're still counting. But that was an extremely low turnout, which from all accounts was expected. But also there are all political newcomers in that particular election. And so I think that's why it's very difficult to get out the vote for people who don't have much name recognition. But, you know, there will be a new voice on the LA City Council, and hopefully it'll be somebody that understands the strength in the diversity of Los Angeles, and not somebody who seeks to keep us separated by the way we were born.
Yeah. Speaking of council districts, Council District 10 is where I live, is now in dispute, and we haven't talked since you and I personally haven't talked since Council Member Mark Ridley Thomas was convicted on 7 of those 19 counts that he was facing, federal charges. So now, of course, you know, if you want to comment on that, I welcome that. But it now means that officially the seat is empty, and the choice has to be made whether to have a special election or to leave the appointee Heather Hutt there until next year, which is less than a year, till we can have our regular election. And so some, you know, Earl of Far Hutchinson and some other pundits were weighing in saying, no, the city should have a special election. And Jasmine Canick and a group of women in South LA yesterday said we should leave Heather Hutt in that seat. Why waste money on an election? And what made me think of it right now, aside from the fact that I live in that district, is the fact that no one turned out for CD6, right? So it just makes you wonder if it's worth spending the money if no one's going to turn out, and if it would make more sense to, you know, just leave Councilwoman Hutt in the seat until we can have a regular election. People are fatigued with all of this. Maybe it's a waste of money. On the other hand, I can understand people saying, well, we need an elected. But honestly, as a CD10 resident, I'm tired. You know, we had nobody, and then we had Herb Wesson, and then we had nobody. No, then we had Carly Katona, and then we had nobody, and then we had Herb Wesson, and then we had nobody, and then we had Heather Hutt. And, you know, it's just a lot. Can we just get some stability and then have a normal election and quit wasting money? That's how I see it, but maybe I'm missing something.
No, I don't think you're missing anything. I think given the time it would take to have the special election, and then more than likely it would require a runoff, which would take even more time, which would get us right into the normal election season, it just does not make sense, in my view, to have a special election at this point. And being that the normal cycle, it would be the 2024 election season, right?
Yeah.
For this seat?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just if we got to a special election at this point, it's not going to happen until potentially June, and a runoff wouldn't happen until after that sometime. And so whenever that runoff would happen would be a couple months before we got to 2024. And so, you know, Heather Hutt seems to be doing the job. And I think at this point, the fatigue would set in, and it could potentially, I think the potential for harm to the district is greater than the potential for good. And whoever wants that seat, you have time to prepare to run a full election.
Attorney Person-Lynn, do you want to speak a little bit on the conviction of Mark Ridley Thomas? We've talked a lot about it. Of course, in my opinion, a huge blow to South LA in particular, and Los Angeles in general.
It is a huge blow. it's one of those things where, I want to go on record and be clear, I don't agree with the conviction at all. I don't think it was right. I don't think he should have been charged. I think it was, people trying to get him out of the way because of the power that he did have. But ultimately, this is not a scenario where we've seen other politicians who have been convicted. They've been convicted for accepting things for themselves, for not reporting luxurious gifts that they've received, not reporting luxurious gifts that they received from developers who then they contracted. And this is a situation where he was working with the largest institution in his district to serve the most needy people in his district. And no one's saying that USC didn't do the job. No one is saying even that the nonprofit that this $100,000 was supposedly funneled to was not doing the work that they should have been doing. And that's what is upsetting to me, is that these funds are there and they are meant to be for the people. They went to the people, but yet and still there's a conviction. And the way the laws are written and the way they can be applied, and from what I read in the jury foreperson's interview she did with the LA Times, it just seems like they felt they had to, when the intent was a large part of it, if it was for an unlawful reason. And, I'm not sure how I read what she said, but still wasn't clear how they got to their conclusion, except that there were these 19 charges and they were told he was wrong, he was wrong, he was wrong. And so they said, oh, he must have been wrong. But, it is important to point out that there are 12 charges that he was acquitted of. And also, I know, just looking at this situation, this is federal court. So if Mark Ridley Thomas was to be pardoned, it would be by the president. And I know for a fact the work that he did for our vice president and the Democratic Party in general. And so if there was ever a time to use those pardon powers by the president, now is the time. The same way Donald Trump did for Lil Wayne, because had Donald Trump not pardoned him, Lil Wayne would be in prison right now serving, I think, about a decade. And so he never did a day. And so that same power that is in the hands of Joe Biden right now, I think needs to be used for Mark Ridley Thomas. So he never does a day.
Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn, I'm Dominique DiPrima, and I cannot resist when we come forward. I got to get your take on DeSantis legalizing concealed carry in Florida with almost no fanfare. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
LA Mayor Karen Bass and the city attorney announced Skid Row housing preservation and rehab initiative. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News. LA Mayor Karen Bass and City Attorney Heidi Feldstein Soto recently announced an initiative to preserve and rehabilitate 2,000 housing units in Skid Row. The announcement comes after the Skid Row Housing Trust's recent communication that it would no longer be able to operate the 29 buildings it runs across the city. So this new plan will turn the city's aging downtown real estate into housing for the homeless. In reference to this plan, the mayor says that failure is not an option. Losing nearly 2,000 units of housing would be devastating to Skid Row, and it would be felt citywide, and people would lose their lives. What do you think about this new plan? Let us know on all socials at KBLA 1580.
Person-Lynn Law Office is your go-to attorney for criminal cases. That's why we support the right to a fair trial for Los Angeles Council Member Mark Ridley Thomas. Call me at 424-261-2075 if you're facing any criminal offenses.
KBLA 1580 Talk Radio congratulates Sal's Gumbo Shack for this Women's History Month. Surviving the pandemic and social unrest, Sal's Gumbo Shack continued to hold the community up with great food to all that came through the doors. Are you ready for the best gumbo in town? The best po' boy you've had? Sal's Gumbo Shack. We bring the bayou to you with real authentic soul food. Mama and Granny's recipes made with real butter, real love, real everything. Also introducing a healthy option from our jackfruit selection. And there's more. Mouth-watering desserts, peach cobbler, banana pudding, red and blue velvet cake, 7-Up pound cake, homemade with lots of love. To order, call 562-423-2113. That's 562-423-2113. Sal's is also providing training and employment to those serious about a career in the food industry and the opportunity to perhaps own your own Sal's Gumbo Shack one day. Visit salsgumboshack.com or stop by either locations, Bixby Knolls or Long Beach Boulevard. Sal's Gumbo Shack.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back indeed. Talking with attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn, who is known as the Lincoln Lawyer LA. You can find him there on socials. You can find me at DiPrima Radio. Known as a proponent of the Second Amendment, as am I, However, I have a feeling we may not agree on this move. DeSantis gathering around the NRA friends and colleagues that he has and quietly signing a bill to legalize concealed carry with no permit. And this is Mr. I'm in the press. This is Mr. I'm holding a press conference about something that has nothing to do with me. But yet he decided to go ahead and do this at a non-public event in his office. Now the 26th state, meaning we're the majority, now U.S. to pass some kind of permitless carry legislation. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm very much for the permitless carry because of the way that the law is executed against black men in particular. So many searches, so many stops. Just the thought of black man with a gun seems to be like the most detrimental thought that law enforcement could have. And so now that it is legalized, and if you can lawfully have a firearm, then you can lawfully carry a firearm. I think that's what the intention of the Constitution was initially. And I think it's going to make people safer because the people who were going to illegally use firearms were going to illegally use those firearms no matter what. And so now we have a situation where you have to respect people's Second Amendment rights in Florida and the majority of the country. So hopefully there will be something. And at least if someone is caught, with the firearm not being stored the way that the law says, which really infringes on your right to personal safety here in California, being that it has to be locked in a container separate from the ammunition or in the trunk and still unloaded before you can get to it. I don't think that's promoting public safety, and I think it's good for those areas, despite the fact that some people will abuse it, but they already are.
Well, when we come forward, my clap back and your clap back to the clap back. We're talking 2A on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Los Angeles, get ready for a very exciting Black Music History Festival coming Saturday, April 8th in downtown Los Angeles, Pershing Square, 532 South Olive Street, featuring hip-hop legend Kool Moe Dee, R&B performances by Jane Eugene featuring Loose Ends and Cheryl Cooley of Climax. You will enjoy food vendors, African dance, spoken word, and more. This is a free event, but you must register online through Eventbrite. Brought to you by the City of Los Angeles Recreation and Parks, a Black History Music Festival celebration not to be missed.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, so I got a few things. I, as you know, believe in the Second Amendment, and not the super narrow interpretation that says that it's only for militias, but also that, I can be a militia of one if I need to ward off the KKK or the Proud Boys or whatever that might be. That said, to me, the idea that you need a permit to drive a car but not to carry a gun, and the fact that there's no mandated safety training. I mean, firearms, to me, proponents of the Second Amendment should be big advocates of firearms training, especially when you look at the way these mass shootings have just accelerated, and people with mental health problems, people with all kinds of ill intentions, criminal backgrounds, whatever, easily getting guns legally, and there's no gun safety attached to this. To me, that just I think that's irresponsible.
And one thing we have to acknowledge is that, at least in California, to purchase a firearm, you have to have a firearm safety certificate, which means that you have passed a test that states you understand the basics in firearm safety.
Right, but not in Florida.
That is
not in Florida. Anybody, come one, come all, get a gun. I mean, shoot a person. And if this is such a great law, why is he doing it in secret?
Well, I didn't view it as in secret. I heard about this weeks ago, but I do get a lot of reports and things in my email about the gun rules and the gun laws that are coming up. So I wouldn't say that it happened in secret, but I do understand that, it's Florida, and they have a lot of problems going on right now, so I see why they would want to. I mean, also, do you seriously empower the people?
Do you seriously, which people though? Because if you think that a permitless carry is going to somehow make police respect Black men's rights to carry a gun and not kill them, I think you're deluding yourself.
Well, I think the overall threat of you being law enforcement officers might having to deal with someone that has the same power as you have on your waist, I think is naturally going to have them looking at what they do and how they do it much differently than they would otherwise.
I mean, they already think belt buckles and cell phones are guns. Now they have, even greater paranoia. Wouldn't that make them shoot you quicker?
Potentially, but it also, lets them know that they might get shot back. They can't just indiscriminately pull that trigger anymore.
Yeah, as I figured, we would agree to disagree. But, we shall see. Florida man doing what Florida man do. Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn, thank you so much. As always, thank you in the middle of your case up there in Bakersfield for checking in with us this morning.
Thank you, and I really thought I'd be done, but we're closing today. But it's always an honor to be here on your show, Dominique. It really is.
Oh, it's great to have you on. Always good conversation. We've got news, traffic, and sports, and then it's the perfect time to call me, right after Wealth Building Wednesday on KBLA Talk 1580.